Welcome to Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. You are going to hear the stories from the eclectic life of a guy who is a professional counselor, a family man, a SWAT team chaplain, outdoor enthusiast, a guy involved with ropes, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, a chaotic Jedi, and who is a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Adversity. Using these stories, we take the facts lead to concepts, and from the concepts we make a variety of life applications. Just a caveat about the facts. Most of the time we will tell you the facts just the way it happened, but once in a while we'll give you the facts the way other people remember how it happened, and that usually includes a tablespoon of embellishment. No harm is meant, just good, clean fun for educational purposes. Please subscribe and share this with your friends or your enemies. It might help them to be better people if they listen. As always, we thank you for keeping up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a 2-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I'd given a fellow camp counselor a ride home from summer camp, and I was looking forward to advancing our friendship beyond the puritanical restrictions of said Christian camp. She got out of West Wind, and I exited the old Impala, intending, with as much chivalry as I could, to walk her to the door and enact the customary lip-touching departure ritual that often occurs between young men and young ladies who are fond of each other and have only been allowed to hold hands for the last 2 weeks of summer camp. And just then, the largest, blackest German Shepherd I'd ever seen in my life emerged from the corner of the house. What's your puppy's name? I asked in my best Ray Stevens, what could possibly make me nervous voice. She calmly replied, Dr. Doom. I Starskied across the hood, and I Bowduked into the window and departed in a cloud of dust without the accompanying hi-yo silver. Now, maybe my memory of being dog bit was stronger than my memory of being kissed, and maybe I had not been kissed properly up to that time, but I had been well and properly chewed on by a dog, and I wanted no repeat performances. You might remember that this discomfort with dogs stemmed from my being attacked by a Doberman Pinscher while canvassing neighborhoods for the church that exact same summer. My discomfort with dogs was not super evident. It was this thing that I knew I had, but I thought I hid it well. I would approach unknown dogs with caution. I would put my hands in my pocket, let them sniff around me and get used to my scent, and then offer the back of one of my hands. And I thought I was doing very, very well with my discomfort with the canine species. Later on in my life, my wife, Jackie, would observe that she thought I was actually afraid of dogs, which obviously I would deny, and simply tell her that the thought of killing a person's dog in their presence was unsettling to me as a gentleman of refinement. Later, through my training in psychology, I would come to understand that the only way to overcome any discomfort, any way to overcome any unease is through exposure. You're going to have to spend time with dogs. You're going to have to get comfortable with dogs. Now, we've had dogs, we've raised dogs, we've trained dogs, but I've never been afraid of my dogs. It's those other dogs that always seem to bite me. Years later, I would get invited to get dog bit, and I did it. In fact, I've done it several times. I've talked about one of those experiences, but this was the harder one. We were doing a thing with the SWAT team, and the SWAT guys were cross training with the canine guys, and I was invited to be a target for one of the dogs. We want you to hide in this building. And we're going to surround it and just set up like we do a call out or a barricade perimeter. And then at some point during the training exercise, we want you to sneak out and try to breach the perimeter. If we see you, we'll light you up and cry havoc and release the dogs of war, as the saying goes. You can't run in a bite suit, the big fluffy Michelin Man outfit that you usually wear when the dog hits you. If you're going to run from a canine, you just have to wear a bite sleeve. That means there is one limb that you hope the dog bites. And there are several limbs, large muscle groups, and soft areas you hope he doesn't bite. So here's your bite sleeve, and try to make sure that's the one the dog grabs. Sure. Okay, fine. No problem. I do remember it was cold. I could see my breath as I ran. A German Malinois can reach a top speed of 35 miles an hour. An Olympic sprinter, as in Usain Bolt, can run 28 miles an hour. I am not an Olympic sprinter. The dog caught me incredibly, embarrassingly, easily fast, but the whole thing felt like it was in slow motion from a horror movie. I could hear its paws thrumming on the ground, and I could hear the huff of each breath as it exhaled. Broom, broom, broom. And then out of nowhere, it hit me. It caught the sleeve, swung around me like a maypole, and dragged me to the ground. It proned out and sat like a sphinx, just like the black demon dog I had remembered from my past. I'm laying on the ground. The dog is positioned on the ground, and the handler came. He attached the leash to the land shark, and I stood up. The dog stood up. I lay back down. The dog lay back down. I stood up, and he stood up and began to wag his tail, and his face looked like he was smiling. Can we go again? Oh, he's fun to catch. I hope he runs faster. Let's do it again. And I realized at that moment that these dogs are not vicious. They're not mean. They're not aggressive. They're not psychotic. They're not neurotic. This is a dog who's been trained. He's been conditioned to play this game, but just play it really, really, really aggressively. These dogs are not mean. They just mean business. And dogs like this are trained in protection and apprehension, are not uncontrollably aggressive. They are trained such that aggression is expected in their performance, but their attitude is not really aggressive. They are trained such that aggression is expected and then it's rewarded. They play rough because rough play gets rewarded. They're tenacious because tenacity gets rewarded. It gets praised, and they do it, and they don't attach any moral value to it. It's not right or it's not wrong. It's just what I'm expected to do. And when I do it, I get the reward. Tim Larkin is a self-defense executive protection guru consultant type guy. And when he talks about his system of self-defense, he talks about the tool of violence. His violence is neutral. It is neither good nor evil. It is just a tool, the tool of violence. It works, and it doesn't care who it works for. It works just as well for the burglar rapist creeping into the window as he commits assault as it does for the 23-year-old housewife with the butcher knife defending her baby. Violence doesn't care. One does not have to enjoy violence to employ it, but it helps. And then that's the dog. He enjoyed chasing and catching. He enjoyed chasing and catching me. He enjoyed chasing and catching a felon. He enjoyed chasing and catching a handler. He enjoys chasing and catching anything that runs so he can catch it. He enjoys chasing and catching, and it was not seen by him as being mean. It's just what he does. It's just what he was trained to do. It's what he's conditioned to do, and he enjoyed it. He wasn't born mean. He wasn't born aggressive. His natural inclination to pursue, capture, fetch was merely shaped to get the behavior the police wanted from him, and he was just simply conditioned. Boys don't turn into men simply by getting older. Boys become men through conditioning. And that conditioning involves adversity. At least that's according to Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Haidt. I just heard them speak on a podcast together. Jonathan wrote the book, The Anxious Generation. It really, really highly recommend this book. Competitive play, rough and tumble play, pursuit games, winning, and actually more important, losing is what it takes for boys to become men. Losing and choosing to play again, failing and choosing to try again. Those kind of pursuits give meaning, depth, and responsibility to the lives of boys as they become men. And anything that has meaning and depth and responsibility is also accompanied by what they call slow response dopamine. I use the term extended release dopamine, if you'll let me. You see, the developing brain can get fast acting dopamine. You get a shot here and a shot there, and it's that instant gratification kind of stuff. But extended release dopamine, the slow dopamine, is not the short-term gratification, not instant gratification, but it ends not with gratification, but long-term satisfaction. I learned to do this. I accomplished this. Not it felt good, but there's a long-term satisfaction. This kind of atmosphere, sports, competition, hard work, rough and tumble play, it gives boys three things that they need for becoming men. It gives them meaning, adventure, and responsibility. Things in our lives that don't have depth. Things that are in our lives that don't have meanings. We don't typically try them, and if we try them and they don't mean anything, we don't do them again. Things that don't have meaning don't give us a vision, and Jordan Peterson says they don't give us the vision of our optimized future self. I do these things and I see myself in the future. I don't see myself right here, right now. It's that thing we've talked about, trading what you want now for what you want most. I do that thing, and instead of looking at myself here and now, I look at myself in the future, better, faster, stronger, smarter, more endurance, and then we can fulfill whatever that responsibility is, whether it's a work responsibility, a team responsibility, or a family responsibility, or even a spiritual responsibility. The only way to grow in these areas is to venture past the boundaries of ease, the boundaries of comfort, the boundaries of safety, and the boundaries of guaranteed outcomes. That's what we call adventure. You climb a tree till you're scared, and then you either climb down or you deal with it and climb higher. The only way to run faster is to run faster, and that's uncomfortable. The only way to lift heavier is to lift heavier, and that hurts. It creates sore muscles. The only way to climb higher is to climb higher. And as a rock climber, and I'm not an elite rock climber, I'm an average, if an intermediate rock climber. As a rock climber, the only way you get really, really good is to climb until you fall. That's why we wear harnesses. That's why we have ropes attached to us. We don't wear the harness and wear the rope in case you fall, but you wear the harness and the rope and use the safety gear so that you can climb until you fall. And people who don't do that and don't experience that never proceed past their comfort level, and they don't become elite level climbers. Peterson talks about play. He talks about games, cooperative games and competitive games, as being principled, governed behavior in pursuit of a goal. I'm going to do this, and I have to govern my behavior with principles, cooperation, and integrity in order to get a result, in order to achieve a goal, in order to win, in order to have victory. Basically, the idea of competitive play gives you meaning, adventure, and responsibility. Watch a boys' team when they're little. Watch them as they begin to be self-aware and other person aware. Watch a boys' team respond to the mistake of a teammate, and you'll watch the eyes roll and the heads lob, and you'll hear disdain and exasperation or frustration as all of them are learning. But as they mature as athletes, watch them tap their chest and mouth the words, "My bad, that's on me," raise a hand to signal they're the one who made the mistake. Failure, mistake, imperfection, and the acceptance of it, and the desire to do it again and do it different or do it better. That's how boys become men. Fear of making a mistake in front of people separates the recreational athlete from the varsity. Competition is not aggression. A desire or pursuit of victory is not toxic masculinity or psychopathology. The lack of that is the fragmentation of the male ego and loss of drive, according to Jordan Peterson. Iron sharpens iron. Without meaning or purpose, young males don't become men. They do not flourish, they flounder. They do not become working dogs, but they become lap dogs. They live in their parents' basement and wait to be fed. Without meaning, there's no pursuit of adventure. Without risk, without trial, without adversity, it's not true adventure. And without risk, there is no responsibility. Only in the presence and possibility of danger do you breed responsible action. Because if there's no danger, I don't have to worry about what I do, what I say, or how I behave. So the presence and possibility of danger breeds responsibility. If I succeed, the world can be better, or at least if I succeed, my world can be better. I came in during hunting season from one of my quote unquote adventures, and I had done some things with some ropes and set up a system so that I could load a deer into my truck without violating the restrictions of my post op instructions. And I set this little thing up, and I felt super clever about it. I videotaped it, I posted it, and I showed it to Jackie. And as we ate supper that night, we observed that we never saw our dads come in from work or the field and explain to their wives, to our moms, how they'd solved a problem at work. Those men just did those things because that's what men did. It was part of being a man, a dad, a husband, a hunter, a carpenter, a construction worker, a logger. They didn't need praise. They didn't need likes or posts or prizes. It was that long-term satisfaction of knowing that I solved the problem in my world and solved the problem and did my job. And the satisfaction came because I'm competent at my job, because it's my job. Self-esteem comes from confidence. Confidence comes from competence. And competence comes from trial and error and trying again. The canine dog became the canine dog through an intentional process to develop and accentuate or perfect his natural prey drive: seek, chase, and acquire. You take that same dog and you can turn that same dog into a lap dog. You can turn him into a service dog, or you can let him become a feral dog. And all it takes is abuse, neglect, or pampering softness in the proper doses. You give the proper conditioning and you get the proper condition. Men do not become men by accident. They become men by intention. They become men by adversity. They become men by intentional self-imposed adversity and attention. Paying attention, attending to the necessary skills, perceptions, values, and experiences that allow their pursuits to have meaning, and to pursue those things as an adventure. And moderate the adventure such that the adventure part is not cavalier. You're not an adrenaline junkie, but you pursue the adventure as a prerequisite to fulfill their responsibility as men, as sons, as brothers, as patriots, as citizens, as husbands, as fathers, as grandfathers, even as Christians. You see, They are not conditioned to be men in the sense of like you train a dog, like operant conditioning. Here's stimulus and here's response. The conditioning I'm talking about is you become and are men when they purposefully, meaningfully embrace rather than shy away from the difficult conditions, the difficult learning experiences, the ethos, the code that is prerequisite for the proper conditioning. Toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is when a lap dog acts like a guard dog in an attempt to convince someone else he's a dog. The men I know who are truly men, they are so comfortable and they're so comfortable in their competence. They are so competent and comfortable in their own skin that one would think they are truly absent of self-consciousness. It's like the canine dog. He probably doesn't know he's a police dog. He just lives the way he lives because that's the way he lives. That canine dog with that special training and the special skills and that conditioning, he's probably unaware of how special he really is. He knows he's not a Yorkie, but he doesn't care he's not a wolf. The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. Heritage Christian University produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University, formerly International Bible College, has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt after graduation. For more information about Heritage Christian University, visit www.hcu.edu. That's 3 W's and a dot. hcu.edu. Heritage Christian University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to 3 W's and a dot, worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.